Welcome back to the deep dive. This is where we take all that source material, the dense articles, the linguistic research, the cultural notes, and we just distill it all down.
Right, into something you can actually use.
Exactly. We're giving you a shortcut to being instantly more well-informed. And today, we are going deep on 5 words.
Just 5.
Yeah.
But they're probably 5 of the words you use most every single day.
Oh, easily. They are so central that they've become, well, frankly, a bit boring. They're the most overused, repetitive tools in your toolbox. Yes, no, sorry, thank you, and okay.
And they're not just words, are they? I mean, they're the fundamental particles of how we interact with each other.
Yeah.
But if you lean on them too much, your English can start to sound a little flat, a bit repetitive.
I think anyone learning the language, or even anyone just trying to sound more advanced, knows that frustration, that feeling of constantly saying, yes, 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 or thank you, thank you.
It is immense, and it signals, maybe unfairly, a lack of control over the register and the real nuance of the conversation.
Well, that's the key thing you're getting into today, isn't it? Our mission is to move you beyond those simple textbook equivalents and into, specialized alternatives.
Right. We've looked at sources that give all that crucial context.
Yeah, the subtle shifts in formality, the deep regional differences, and all those emotional cues that make these other words so powerful. We're not just handing you a list of synonyms.
No, not at all. We're teaching you how to pick the right tool for the right job, socially speaking. So you don't just sound correct, you sound contextual, colorful.
Sophisticated.
Exactly. It's the ultimate fluency signal, really. I mean, anyone can say yes. But a truly fluent speaker knows maybe 20 ways to agree, and each one sends a slightly different message, a different level of enthusiasm or commitment.
And that's the spectrum we're mapping today. We're showing you how these little variations on these staples can just immediately upgrade your communication.
And signal a real mastery of the language.
Okay, so let's unpack this. We have to start with the big one. Affirmation, the word yes.
It's everywhere.
It's absolutely ubiquitous. It's usually the first conversational word anyone learns, and it's so easy to just lean on it exclusively. We found 7 fantastic ways to stop doing that.
And we're starting here because the alternatives for yes, really, they throw the difference between formal written English and that fast, casual spoken English into such sharp relief.
Right.
When we speak quickly, we tend to shorten words. It's a linguistic process called elision. And that's exactly where our first few alternatives come from.
Okay, so let's start with the really informal ones, the spoken variants. The sources point to, yep.
Yep is a brilliant example of what you could call acoustic shorthand. It's a non-standard spelling, but it perfectly captures the sound.
It does.
And if you notice, that final P sound, yep, it involves closing your lips, which stops the airflow really quickly.
Oh, yeah.
It makes it fast and efficient to say. It's strictly for casual spoken conversation, though. You would never, ever use this in a formal piece of writing.
God, no. But you'd use it with friends dozens of times a day.
It just signals, I heard you, I agree, let's move on.
So something like, have you done your homework? Yep, I have. It's just smooth and quick.
Exactly.
Now, the source material also mentions an alternative, one that seems to represent a slightly different pronunciation, maybe more North American, and that's yep.
Yes, yep. Now, it's universally understood, but the vowel sound is a little more open in the mouth. It leans more towards an ah sound, not that clipped a you get in yep.
Right.
These are tiny nuances, but they matter. They show how regional dialects can tweak even the shortest of sounds. But, functionally, yap and yep are doing the same job.
Quick, low-stakes agreement.
That's it.
And then there's, I feel like this one is the undisputed king of casual affirmation.
Oh, for sure.
The sources suggest, and I find this completely believable, that if you actually ran a study on every sentence spoken by English speakers around the world, would be used way more often than the formal yes.
I would agree with that completely. And there's a good linguistic reason for it.
Yeah.
Yes requires a very clear articulation. There's an inherent emphasis to it.
Right. You say yes when you're making a point.
A definitive, often serious statement.
Yeah.
Whereas yes is softer, it's faster, it takes less effort. It's a kind of social lubricant.
Just keeps the conversation flowing.
Exactly. When the stakes are low and you want to signal, I'm relaxed, this is a comfortable chat, yes is your best friend.
Okay, let's move a little bit up the formality ladder. Let's talk about agreeing to a specific request, something that involves an action. We have some great options here. First up is certainly.
Certainly immediately elevates the response. If yes is just neutral confirmation. certainly implies both willingness and capability.
It sounds very professional.
It is. It's polite. It's professional. You'd often use it when you're responding to a request for a service or, an obligation. If your boss asks you to do something, saying there, it certainly suggests you're confident it'll get done well.
But couldn't that sound a bit stiff? Maybe too formal if you're just talking to a coworker. How does that compare to, say, sure? The sources noted that sure has traditionally been seen as more American.
That's a really crucial point about register. Certainly is often associated with, traditional service environments. It's more formal, sure is faster, and it carries a different feel.
How so?
Well, in a UK context, certainly signals willingness. But in the US, sure often signals more of a casual acknowledgement or acceptance.
I see.
And the sources are spot on. Thanks to TV and films, sure is becoming much more common in the UK, so it's pretty much universally understood now.
So for a learner, it's a safe bet.
A very low-risk option globally, yeah. But knowing its American roots is good context to have.
And then there's the really straightforward, confident agreement, of course. That just feels like it implies no doubt was ever required.
It does, but we should talk about the subtlety there. While of course can mean the answer was never in doubt, like, of course I'll help you. In some situations, it can carry a little tone of impatience, almost like you're saying the question was redundant.
Oh, I see. Like if someone asks something really obvious.
Exactly. A response of course, might signal a bit of annoyance. It's high confidence for sure, but you have to be aware of that potential secondary meaning.
That is exactly the kind of nuance we need to be talking about. Okay, now this next one is, I think, the most advanced technique. It's the most elegant way to say yes without actually saying the word yes.
Yes. Echoing the question.
Right.
This is an immediate, high-level fluency signal. It shows you don't just agree, you have a deep grammatical understanding of what's being asked.
So what are we actually doing here grammatically?
Technically, it's a form of ellipsis. You're omitting words that are already understood from the context of the sentence.
So instead of a flat yes, you just pick up the auxiliary verb from the question to confirm.
Precisely, which means you need to have mastered your tenses and sentence structure.
So instead of answering, do you like kittens? With a simple yes, you'd say.
I do.
I do. It's so much cleaner.
And notice how I do confirms both the positive state and the present tense. It avoids repetition, but it's still a complete grammatically sound answer.
Or if the question was, will you have a kitten soon?
I will. The answer perfectly mirrors the modal verb from the question.
And the one most relevant to my life right now. Have you bought excessive kitten toys?
I have.
And see, that's so much more refined than, yes, I have. You're not repeating yourself.
And that's why it signals such advanced conversational grammar. Using I do isn't just about avoiding the word yes. It's about showing you've internalized the rules of the language so well you can play with the structure. And that's why these variations matter. They're tools for signaling register, regional awareness, and fluency all at the same time.
Okay, so if affirmation has all these great alternatives, negation, the word no, has even more.
It does, which really shows how important it is for us to have ways to express all these different shades of rejection or refusal.
From the really hard stop to the most polite decline. So let's start with the informal parallel to yep.
Which would naturally be nope.
Nope. The informal spoken variant, I genuinely use nope constantly, and I share the curiosity that the sources mentioned. I bet nope is used more often than no in casual conversation.
I think you found a lot of evidence for that.
Yeah.
No has a very definitive, sharp sound, but nope, just like yep, is quicker, it's less emphatic.
Right.
It doesn't have that finality that a fully articulated no has. It suggests definitely not, but this is a relaxed chat, so let's just move on.
It's an acoustic signal that the refusal isn't aggressive.
Precisely.
Okay, moving even further down the informality ladder and maybe adding a layer of emotion, we get to nah.
Nah is highly informal, a real social marker. And it often carries this subtle feeling of disgust or reluctance or even disbelief.
The sound of it is so interesting.
The phonetics are fascinating, yeah. It has this kind of guttural, drawn-out vowel, and it's often accompanied by a little shake of the head or look of distaste.
It's rarely just the word, is it? It's the whole reaction. Someone offers you food you don't like and it's nah.
Yes. Or if you don't believe the story someone's telling you, nah, I don't buy that.
So that vocal inflection is doing all the work. It feels like you're refusing the whole idea, not just the question.
You are. And it's definitely too informal for anything but your close friends.
Okay, let's swing to the other extreme. The hard stops. The forceful refusals. We have no way.
No way is definitive. High intensity. It often implies that something is impossible, not just that you're unwilling.
Right.
When you hear someone say, "There is no way in hell I'm doing that," it conveys this extreme resistance, that the thing they're being asked to do just cannot happen.
And mirroring that intensity, we have absolutely not, or certainly not. The
Mm,
sources mention how popular the word absolutely is becoming in general, and when you pair it with not, it's incredibly strong.
It creates a really clear boundary. It
Yeah.
means I am 100% firm in this refusal, and it is not up for negotiation.
Will you go out with him again?
Absolutely not. The absolutely just locks it down. It's a final statement. It's a great phrase to have when you need to be forceful and completely unambiguous.
Okay, now let's go to the other side. Softening the blow. We often need to decline something politely.
Yes, or apologize for not being able to agree.
So the first pair here are just crucial for polite professional rejection. Unfortunately not, and I'm afraid not.
These are essential fluency tools. Unfortunately, not clearly says that you regret the circumstances that are preventing you from saying yes.
And I'm afraid not is even more nuanced. Let's unpack that, because it doesn't mean you're scared.
Not at all. It signals that you anticipate the other person's disappointment.
Ah, I see.
By saying, "I'm afraid not," you're subtly communicating, "I'm sorry the answer is no, and I sympathize with the fact that this news is probably going to disappoint you."
So it's a kind of emotional management.
It's a preemptive apology for the bad news.
Yeah.
And that's so much more sophisticated than just a blunt no.
And then there's this beautifully poetic refusal, which I love, that declines while also sort of complimenting the person asking, if only.
If only. It's this advanced shorthand for "if only I could."
Right.
It implies that you have a really strong desire to say yes, but external factors are stopping you.
Right.
"Can you come to the party tonight?" "If only, but I have to work."
It's a very high-level, empathetic way to say no. It validates the invitation even as you're declining it.
Exactly.
Okay, we also have a couple of culturally specific or abbreviated ways to say no. The first one is very British, and it's just using the word sorry.
Yes. For British people, sorry is this incredibly versatile social tool. And in some contexts, it works perfectly as a quick, abbreviated refusal.
So, are you coming tonight? Sorry.
And that's it. It conveys a quick, polite no with a built-in apology for the refusal itself. It's fast, efficient, and it avoids the sharpness of the word no.
And then there's a less forceful way to express doubt about the future. Not likely.
You're expressing skepticism here, not a definite, absolute refusal. Not likely indicates that. Based on what you know, the probability is low.
Like, do you think you'll get that promotion this year?
Not likely. It's often used with a bit of humor or to show you have low confidence in an outcome. But it's much less final than absolutely not.
Right. And finally, a very specific one for declining offers or experiences. I'll pass.
Which is short for "I'll pass on that." It's an idiom that's often used when declining food or a drink or some kind of activity.
If someone offers you a second slice of cake and you want to say no thank you,
"I'll pass" is the perfect, concise way to do it. It implies you're voluntarily stepping aside from the offer.
what's so fascinating here is just how much this variety lets you modulate the intensity. You can go from the casual disgust of nah.
All the way to the formal, sympathetic regret of "I'm afraid not."
And when you use these alternatives, you're not just saying no. You're communicating your whole attitude towards the situation.
Precisely. And that control over intensity, that's what separates basic communication from real fluency.
All right, let's move on to sorry. The sources joke that this is Britain's favorite word.
And they might not be wrong.
Given how often we use it for bumping into someone, for declining an offer, for pretty much anything, it might be true. And the interesting thing is that most of these alternatives can actually be used with the word sorry.
Yes, they enhance it. Because apologies require such a high degree of context awareness. You're dealing with accountability.
So you need to be specific.
You need to specify the nature and the degree of the fault. You have to move beyond just generic regret.
Okay, so we have 3 key phrases here for expressing different degrees of fault. The first one is for accidental actions, when the consequence wasn't intentional. I didn't mean it or I didn't mean to.
This focuses the apology on the lack of malicious intent. You're saying the action happened, but it was a mistake, an accident.
The example from the sources was perfect. I didn't mean to run over your toe with my car wheel.
Right. You're acknowledging the injury, but you're claiming the act itself was an accident, not deliberate. It's all about intent.
Now, you contrast that sharply with phrases that put the blame squarely on the speaker's poor judgment. It was wrong of me, or I was wrong too.
These imply a conscious decision was made, even if you regret the outcome. You are explicitly accepting responsibility for the transgression.
So you're admitting fault in your reasoning or your behavior?
Exactly. It was wrong of me to put your white work shirts in with my red knickers.
Ah,
The result is a pile of pink shirts, and the apology accepts the bad decision-making that led there.
it's an apology about judgment, not intent. That's a critical distinction.
Hmm.
Now, for really strong, deep regret over something specific you did, we use I should never have.
This one carries the most emotional and moral weight. It implies a deep and specific regret. It suggests the speaker knows they've breached some major social code.
The anecdote in the source material for this one was so memorable. The example was, I should never have worn white on your wedding day.
Which perfectly captures a profound breach of social conduct, doesn't it?
It really does. It addresses a major error that caused offense, even if no one said anything at the time. Using I should never have is how you acknowledge a huge social mistake.
It shows you've not just processed the mistake, but you've really reflected on the impact and your responsibility. This phrase is for high-stakes interpersonal errors.
Okay, now we come to the last one, and this one needs a big warning label.
That be.
The very casual Americanism, my bad.
Ah, my bad. Yes. This came out of U.S. sports and gaming slang, very low-stakes environments. It's a casual import, and it's essential that learners understand its limitations.
I remember being so confused by it as a kid. I was taught to say sorry, and then I hear it on a show like Friends, my bad, and I think, what? What does that even mean?
Well, that confusion comes from how colloquial it is. Linguistically, it's a way of acknowledging a mistake, while at the same time minimizing its seriousness.
Right.
Which means, frankly, it can be seen as quite impolite if you use it in the wrong context.
That warning is so important. My bad is strictly for minor, non-serious mistakes. If you use it in a serious situation, like you missed a huge deadline at work.
Or you broke something valuable.
Yeah, using my bad suggests you don't get how serious it is. You can sound really flippant, obnoxious even.
Think about the power dynamic. If your boss asks where a critical report is and you just say, my bad, I forgot, that's not going to go over well.
You're not at all.
It's only for when the mistake is small. You tripped on the pavement, you forgot to bring the salt to the table. It's a social contract for accepting blame for a casual slip-up.
So these alternatives for sorry are really essential tools. They let you move from simple regret to being really precise about your accountability.
And that precision is just key to navigating the social and professional world effectively. It's about specifying the nature of the fault.
All right, let's pivot to gratitude. Thank you is essential, but sometimes when someone does something really extraordinary for you, a simple thank you just doesn't feel like enough.
No, it falls short. And these alternatives let you scale your gratitude to match the action. You're moving beyond a standard acknowledgement to heartfelt praise.
And that's so important for building relationships. So let's start with the hyperbolic thanks phrases that praise the person, not just what they did. If someone is just wonderfully helpful, we often say, you're a star, or you're an absolute star.
It's simple, it's heartfelt, and it's highly effective. You're affirming their character. It's like saying, you are a wonderful person.
It's informal, but it feels fine in most casual professional settings, I think.
I'd agree. But if they've genuinely rescued you from some kind of major trouble, that's when you really ratchet up the intensity.
And you use. You're a lifesaver.
Right. This implies they've stepped in at a critical high-stakes moment. The example from the sources about getting a lost smartphone back is perfect for today.
So true. My phone is my life.
Exactly. So the person who returns it has, in a way, saved you from a major personal crisis. It's a high compliment for a high-effort action.
And very similar to that is, I don't know what I'd do without you, which just links your success or your relief directly to them.
These hyperbolic phrases are just so useful because they deliver an emotional punch that a simple thank you can't manage.
Now let's talk about responding to compliments. That's a common social situation where you can find yourself just saying thank you over and over again.
And when it starts to sound a bit repetitive, maybe even insincere after a while.
Right. And that's where I appreciate that, or I appreciate it comes in.
This is such a valuable alternative. It slows the interaction down. It acknowledges the kindness of their words without you having to repeat the same phrase.
It shows you're listening.
Yes, you've processed the compliment, you're grateful for it, and you're varying your language. It's a very sophisticated way to manage positive attention.
Okay, next is a wonderful, highly idiomatic phrase, often used when you get a gift. You shouldn't have.
This is a social ritual. And it's so important for learners to understand this is not a literal command to take the gift back.
No, not at all.
When you say it with a smile, it means you went above and beyond, or you went to so much trouble for me, and I'm so grateful for that effort.
It validates the giver's dedication. It's a key part of the social dance of gift giving. Now, for some fun Britishisms, two of them are short, sharp, and very informal. First, cheers.
Cheers is deeply, deeply British. Historically, it was for raising a glass, a kind of toast. But the sources note that in many casual settings, especially with younger speakers, cheers is now just a straight substitute for thank you.
Yeah, cheers, mate. Thank you for that. It's casual. It's effective. Next up is one that carries a lot of social baggage. Ta.
Ta is highly informal. It's often associated with very young children learning to speak because it's phonetically easier to say than thank you.
And that association kind of carries over, doesn't it?
It does. In adult usage, it signals extreme casualness, or, well, depending on who's listening, it can feel like minimal effort.
I have to admit, I struggle with that one sometimes. When an adult says it, I sometimes feel like it sounds like they just can't be bothered to say the full phrase, but I know that's a subjective reaction.
It's a valid point about perception. It sits at a very low register, and depending on your generational or even class background, it can come across as a bit childish or overly familiar. But it functions as a simple thank you.
Okay, and the last one in this group is fab, short for fabulous.
A simple, punchy, informal way to say, great, thank you.
So we've covered this whole spectrum of gratitude, from a quick thanks to acknowledging life-altering help. The key is really matching the level of your language to the level of the gift or service.
Exactly.
All right, let's get to our fifth and final overused word. Okay. This one is fascinating because it does so much work. It can signal agreement, acknowledgement, compliance,
Or even resignation. And unlike sorry or thank you, the alternatives for okay are less about emotional intensity and more about signaling the type of acceptance you're giving.
Right, whether it's enthusiastic or, well, not. So let's start with the informal and slightly quaint one, okeydoke.
Highly informal, bordering on playful even. It's great for friends, and it conveys a kind of lighthearted agreement.
Like you're agreeing to a slightly silly request.
Yes. And of course, you have that cultural reference point of Ned Flanders saying, Okeydoke, but seriously, this is a word for conversation only. Never let it anywhere near formal writing.
Definitely not. Now, a simple, plain alternative that is almost a direct swap for okay but just helps break the repetition is all right.
They are almost exactly interchangeable in meaning, but just using all right provides that variety. It's a very safe, neutral choice in most situations.
Okay, now here's where the real nuance comes in. Very well.
This is probably the most complex of the alternatives for okay because it so often implies a lack of enthusiasm, a little bit of displeasure, or resignation.
It's formal agreement, but not happy agreement.
Not at all. It's the sound of someone reluctantly accepting a situation they don't like.
So if I said to you, I need you to completely reorganize this filing system tonight.
I might reply very well, if that's what you require.
And the tone there is, I disagree, but I will comply because I have to. It signals resignation under a layer of formality.
Precisely. It signals formal compliance, not genuine excitement. Now compare that to righto.
Ah, yes.
The sources describe this as a word used by the older generation, but one that has a lovely charm and might just come back into fashion.
I can personally attest to this one. My partner uses it all the time. If I say, oh, my mom's coming over for lunch, we need to tidy up, he'll say, righto. Good, okay.
And what does that convey?
It's just a very pleasant, unhurried way of saying, acknowledged, accepted, and I'm not stressed about it.
It carries a kind of cheerful, unhurried acceptance. There's no drama. It's charming, but certainly not formal.
And finally, a phrase used all the time in Britain to express neutral acceptance of a point or a situation. Fair enough.
Fair enough is crucial. It is acceptance without any positive or negative emotional spin. You use it when you want to be neutral. I accept your point or the situation, even if I don't necessarily feel happy about it. It's often used to close down an argument in a neutral way.
For example, if someone explains why they can't come to your party because they have to study, you might just say, fair enough.
And you're accepting their reason without having to get enthusiastic about it or complain about it. You're just closing the topic.
So the alternatives for okay really let you signal your precise degree of contentment or lack of it with a situation.
Which is critical for any nuanced conversation. #outro.
So we have just done a really thorough deep dive into 5 foundational words: yes, no, sorry, thank you, and okay, and covered dozens of alternatives.
And we've shown that replacing these words immediately elevates your vocabulary. You're moving from, generic repetitive language to something much more specialized.
And context appropriate. The utility is immediate, isn't it?
It's immediate and it's powerful. By choosing something like I do or absolutely not or it was wrong of
You
me,
shouldn't have, or fair
that's not
enough.
right. You're ensuring your vocabulary is precise, your communication is colorful, and you're signaling your mastery over the social and grammatical mechanics of the language.
And that's true whether you're in a formal meeting or just chatting with friends.
Hmm. It's about being precise. You're moving beyond just communicating a basic fact to communicating your intent, your emotion, and your awareness of the social register.
And that leads us to a final provocative thought for you to think about.
Our discussion today really highlighted a lot of regional and generational shifts. The rise of sure, the dominance of yeah and nope, these little sociolects like talk and righto.
So if these foundational words are already being replaced or eclipsed by informal alternatives, we have to ask.
What other essential common words that we use all the time, maybe a verb like to go or an adjective like good, are currently on the path to becoming linguistically obsolete?
And what new informal particles or abbreviations are being invented right now by the next generation to take their place?
So keep an ear out for those little shifts in your own daily conversations. Language never, ever stands still.
Even at this fundamental level, it really is a fascinating linguistic challenge.
It truly is.
That's all the time we have for this deep dive. We hope this has given you a whole new, sophisticated toolkit for your next conversation.